All questions, including those submitted prior to today's webinar, will be answered after a brief presentation of the concept note submission process. The microphones of all attendees are muted in this webinar. You may use the chat feature to communicate with the panelists. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce David DeYoung, the Legume Systems Innovation Lab Program Manager, who will briefly explain the concept note submission process. David.
Thank you, Jan. The Legume Systems Innovation Lab is using the PyStar RFX system for application and review of concept notes. PyStar RFX will also be used for the submission and review of full proposals. On the screen is the Funding Opportunities page of PyStar RFX that includes our request for concept notes. By clicking on the text, learn more, ... you will view our concept note solicitation page. I want to point out 5 features of this page. First, the main solicitation document is available by clicking on the text download solicitation. All applicants must read and review this document as it contains the specific details required to submit concept notes. These details include document formatting, page number length of concept notes, and scoring criteria. Second, if you have questions that are not answered in this webinar, you can submit these questions by clicking on the Contact Manager. Third, there are currently 4 documents on our solicitation page. The 5th document, addressing frequently asked questions, will be posted soon. Document 1, the budget guidelines and description, should be reviewed by applicants before preparing the budget. Applicants must use the budget template found on this page to submit the budget for their concept note. We also provide the budget template that will be used for full proposals. The 4th document is a mini guide for proposal development. This is general to proposal development and not specific to the Legume Systems Innovation Lab request for concept notes. The 4th item on the PyStar RFX solicitation page that I would like to point out is the sign up for our email feature located on the final line. This is a great way to know when the areas of inquiry 2 and 3 requests for concept notes are released. Finally, to apply, you will need to click on the text Apply Now at the top of this page. This will take you to the sign-in page of PyStar RFX, where you can sign in with an existing account or create a new account. Once you are signed in, you can enter the required information on the application page, shown on the screen now. Upload your concept note, saved as a PDF, and update your proposed budget in Excel. So with that, we will turn our time over to our director, Dr. Barry Pittendry, and Deputy Director, Dr. Cynthia Donovan. They will work through the questions submitted prior to today's webinar.
Just a quick message. If you need to send in a question, please send it to the email. And Jan, will you repeat that email address, please?
Yes, that email is deyoun59@msu.edu.
Thank you, Jan.
Hello, I'm Barry Pittendry. I'm Dr. Barry Pittendry. I'm the director of the Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Legume Systems Research. And joining me today is Dr. Cynthia Donovan. the Deputy Director. So we will cover a series of questions that had been sent in to us previously as the next step in this process. So with this, I will turn over the first question to Dr. Donovan, and then we'll rotate questions back and forth. Thank you for joining us today.
So our first question is kind of we'll start with question 1A. And that is, can I propose research in the Legume Systems Innovation Lab focus regions of Central America or West Africa in countries other than the focus countries mentioned in the RFP?
Thanks, Jen. This is Cynthia Donovan, and I'll give you the answer. With limited funding, we will prioritize these competitive awards to the focus countries in the 2 focus regions. As stated in the call for concept notes on page 4, quote, where applicants make a strong justification, ... other countries in these regions may be included, particularly when addressing transnational, regional, or complex issues that are aligned with the central research goals. Proposals that argue a strong case for work outside of the Feed the Future priority countries will be considered on a case-by-case basis, end quotes. Collaborators in Feed the Future aligned countries may be included with Feed the Future priority countries for joint work, but the lead institution must meet the requirements indicated in the following question number 2 on institutional eligibility.
All right, so let's move on to question 1B. Will concept notes for research in Feed the Future priority countries outside the Legume Systems Innovation Lab focus regions be considered? For example, in Asia, Southern Africa, and East Africa.
With limited funding, we limit these competitive awards to the focus regions unless other guidance is received from USAID that modifies the cooperative agreement.
Let's move on to question 1C. If my funding is outside the Legume Systems Innovation Lab focus regions and/or Feed the Future priority countries, are there other options for funding legume research?
The Legume Systems Innovation Lab is a Leader with Associate Award cooperative agreement. As indicated at the website for USAID, quote, Leader with Associate, LWA, award involves the issuance of a Leader Award that covers a specified worldwide activity. The Leader Award includes language that allows a mission or other office to make one or more separate awards, called Associate Awards, to the Leader Award recipient without using restricted eligibility. The Associate Award must be within the terms and scope of the program description of the Leader Award and support a distinct local or regional activity, end quote. The Associate Awards can be either grants or cooperative agreements and need not be competitively bid by the USAID mission. They can be in Feed the Future countries outside the focus regions if the research and capacity building activities align with the objectives of the cooperative agreement for the Legume Systems Innovation Lab.
Question 1D. How many target countries can be involved in one project?
This is up to the PI or co-PIs, and it depends on the ability to manage the project across countries and have sufficient funds for the proposed research given a maximum budget indicated in the RFPs.
All right, now we're going to move on to some a question regarding institutional eligibility. Our first question, question 2A, what institutions are eligible to prepare a proposal for the call?
I'll field this question. As stated in the call for concept notes on page 6, first, projects must identify a single lead institution that is either a U.S. university, priority country, national agricultural research or educational institution, or an international agricultural research institution. Second, projects must include at least one U.S. university. Third, projects must also include at least one partner institution in a priority country, such as a national or regional agricultural research institutes or universities. Fourth, projects may involve additional partners, including private sector partners, NGOs, and other priority country institutions, other U.S. universities, and international agricultural research institutions with active legume programs, such as CGIAR centers participating in the GLDC program.
Question 2B. Can an individual submit a proposal?
A single lead principal investigator and a single lead institution must be identified in each proposal. There must be institutional commitment from a lead institution.
Question 2C. How do I find collaborators to meet the institutional eligibility?
We encourage you to work to network with the PIs on the initial activities page to create research partnerships with other institutions. We'll soon include a Find a Collaborator page on our website to post requests for collaborators.
Our initial activities can be found on the website, including information on lead investigators.
Question 2D. Can a developed country university outside the United States, for example, in Canada or the Netherlands, be a lead institution?
No, a developed country university outside of the United States is not eligible to be a lead institution, but it can be a partner institution with an eligible lead institution. Please see page 6 of the call for concept notes.
Question 2E. Can I be a PI or a co-PI on more than one concept note in each RFP? Can a home country collaborator be included in included in more than one concept note?
Yes, you can submit as many concept notes as you would like as a PI or co-PI.
Thank you, Barry. Question 2F. Can a scientist in one of the target countries be a PI?
Yes, we encourage our in-country scientists to take the lead in developing and leading the projects as PI. However, a U.S. university must be included in the project, and the lead PI must be at an institution with the demonstrated capacity to manage international grants and funds.
All right, we're going to move on now to question number 3, which references collaborators. Question 3, will interdepartmental collaboration be fine? Or only one department per institution can propose a collaboration with collaborators included in the request for concept notes?
We encourage interdepartmental and multidisciplinary collaboration within an institution and across institutions. Note, only one lead PI per concept note can be indicated.
All right, question 4, eligible crops. Question 4 reads, the RFP said cowpea in West Africa and common bean in Central America are the target crops. Can I submit a concept note for research activities in other legume crops?
As stated in the call for concept notes on page 3, quote, the Legume Systems Innovation Lab will focus primarily on 2 major crops, common bean, Phaseolus vulgaris in Central America, and cowpea, Vigna inguiculata W in West Africa. These crops have a critical potential for integration with other legumes and increased crop resiliency and food security. The ME welcomes proposed research with other legume crops and legume tree species systems as part of the overall research portfolio if applicants make a compelling argument for their inclusion and their role in legume systems resilience, nutrition, youth and women, or feed and fodder for agro-pastoral systems.
All right, we're moving on to question number 5, which addresses cross-cutting themes. Question 5A. The research activities in my concept note will impact men, women, and youth equally. How do I address the cross-cutting themes in general and gender specifically?
As stated in the call for concept notes on page 4, quote, all proposals are required to address the relationship between the proposed research and capacity building with each of the cross-cutting themes. For example, how might the technology impact women's labor? Are youth included in this approach? What impacts are there on household resilience? Additionally, it will be important to explain if no impacts on these cross-cutting themes are expected. Please see the technical guidance documents from USAID at the website given on this slide to help frame the discussion and assist in the design of relevant components for each of the cross-cutting themes, unquote.
All right, question 5B. I see that gender perspective needs to be an integral part of any proposal. Can you provide some illustrative examples on this?
Please see the Global Food Security Strategy Technical Guidance Advancing Gender Equality and Female Empowerment for more information and examples. The websites for those will be found under feedthefuture.gov, and if you Google technical guidance, you will find it. There is also another document cited on gender equality policy under usaid.gov.
Question 5C. Are the cross-cutting objectives going to be equally scored? What if a project only addresses 2 cross-cutting themes?
All cross-cutting themes need to be addressed in every proposal. If a project only addresses 2 themes, the concept note will not meet our requirements and will affect the score. However, addressing the cross-cutting themes may not necessarily involve activities on each of these themes, but demonstrating an understanding of the implications of the research for the cross-cutting themes.
All right, let's move on to question number 6. The RFP lists Honduras and Guatemala as eligible countries for funding, but recent news coverage indicate that there are currently or could be in the future restrictions to funding for these countries. Should I submit a concept note for activities in these countries?
We encourage concept note proposals for research in Honduras and Guatemala. We are unable to comment on recent news coverage related to Honduras and Guatemala. No specific funding changes have been officially announced.
Question number 7. What indirect cost rate should we use?
Michigan State University uses a de minimis rate of 10% of modified total direct costs, or otherwise known as MTDC, for subawards. A request for higher indirect cost rate must have documented justification, such as an established NICRA. Indirect costs charged to your subawards are limited to the first $25,000 US.
Thank you, Barry and Cynthia. That concludes our questions that we had received prior to the webinar. We will now address questions that have been submitted through the Q&A feature. Just a reminder, be sure to type any questions you may have into the Q&A feature and not the chat feature. I will read each question or questions should a group of questions be related. There will be a brief pause as Barry and Cynthia will mute the microphone to discuss the question, and then they will return the audio with the answer to that question. So let's start with our first question from today's webinar. The question is, can a proposal on value chain and marketing be included in this call? Mute while we discuss, and we will return very shortly. Thank you. All right, welcome back. I'm going to reread the question, and then Dr. Donovan will provide the answer. Can a proposal on value chain and marketing be included in this call?
Thanks for the question. This proposal is focused on production systems, and therefore anything on value chain and marketing would have to relate directly to production systems development. But please keep in mind, we will be having calls for area of interest 2 and 3, and that's specifically where we have room for more of the value chain and marketing concerns. Thank you.
All right, let's see if we're ready to address our next question. All right, question number 9. Can you provide some guidance about how to integrate CGIAR centers into proposals? Can they be lead? Again, we will mute and we'll return shortly. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Again, I'll reread the question. Question 9 is, can you provide some guidance about how to integrate CGIAR centers into proposals? Can they be leads?
Thanks for that question, or those 2 questions actually. We encourage CGIAR institutions to participate in these calls for proposals. They can be lead institutions as is indicated, but clearly U.S. institutions are required as well as host country institutions on all projects, and the funding distribution will be a consideration in evaluation. Thank you.
Our next question, question number 10. Zones of influences, let's start over. Zones of influence are considered in Africa. Are zones of influence going to be considered in Central America as well?
I'd like to answer that directly. Yes, we will be looking at our USAID mission strategies and their zones of influence in understanding the relationship of the research proposed to the mission strategies. Thanks.
All right, welcome back. We're going to move on to our next question, question 11. This question is, when do you anticipate release of AOI 2 and AOI 3?
We are actively working on the documentation associated with both of these releases, and you will need to check back on our website as towards those release dates, and they will be made available on our website when they occur.
All right, we have our next question, and the question is, how many projects, excuse me, how many projects will be funded in Africa and Central America for this particular call for Area of Inquiry 1?
For Area of Inquiry 1, we expect 3 to 4 projects to be funded, but we cannot comment on the distribution between those 2 regions.
All right, welcome back. We have our next question. This is in reference to indirect costs. The question is, regarding the indirect costs, what if our institution requires indirect costs other than 10%? Would that requirement be sufficient justification? What would be the maximum indirect cost percentage?
Thanks for that question. We will need to confer within our team and with our USAID colleagues on the response to this question, and we will reply to the question in our frequently answered questions document, which, if we haven't mentioned before, will be up on the website on both PyStar and our website after this seminar, after this webinar, as soon as we pull together all the answers to the various questions.
All right, welcome back to the webinar. We've received a lot of questions still relating to geographic location. Cynthia is just going to address this briefly right now.
I thank you all for all the questions, and having been with the previous Legume Innovation Lab, I recognize all our colleagues in Eastern and Southern Africa and colleagues in Asia. If you look at the RFP that USAID issued for the Legume Systems Innovation Lab, you'll see that they specifically requested more restricted geographic area of focus, and we've responded to that request. Hence, the limitations in geographic regions and priority countries under this call for proposal and the future calls for AOI 1, AOI 2 and 3. Thanks.
Thank you, Cynthia. So that looks like that we have covered all of our questions that we have received today. We'd like to thank everyone. We appreciate your attendance. The questions and answers to today's webinar will be available as an FAQ document on the Pi-Star RFX page soon, and also on our website. We will also have any additional questions received through the contact manager on Pi-Star will be added to this FAQ document. And you can also find the FAQs and a recording of this webinar, including a transcription, located under Funding Opportunities page of our Legume Systems Innovation Labs website, which that address is listed on your screen. Also, while on our website, if you sign up to receive our e-newsletter, you will receive an email notification of when the Area of Inquiry 2 and 3 requests for concept notes will be released, along with the dates for the next webinars for Areas 2 and 3. So just click on that sign up tab on our homepage, and we'll make sure that you get added to that list. Once again, thanks for joining us today. We wish you the best of luck on your research. This concludes today's webinar.
Just wanted to add a brief thing for our phone call attendees, because you cannot see the screen, and all the facts, as we said, will be available in a document that will be available later. But for those of you who wish to see our website now, you can Google Legume Innovation Lab, and you will see the Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Legume Systems Research webpage, and that will link you on to Pi-Star. So thank you again for attending, and we look forward to working with you all. Barry?
I'd like to thank both everybody on the call today for attending and participating in this process, and I'd like to thank everybody on the management entity team here at Michigan State University to get put into this whole process together. And USAID. We thank USAID for all their ongoing support of this program. Thank you very much.